So what I see in a lot of people that I work with, but also what I have seen in myself, is that when you are afraid of rejection, where there's this deep-seated fear, what typically happens is when you get in social situations or even professional situations, there's all of a sudden this paralysis. Like you get stuck, like completely stuck. You will hesitate to reach out to old friends or make new friends or new connections. You will be reluctant to ask for the job promotions. And this was me back in the day, where I was afraid to ask for the promotion until it was like almost like this feeling of life and death, where it was like, you better ask for this promotion or you're going to be stuck in the same spot. Don't let someone just think you are content and complacent where you are. You have to ask. Fear of rejection can significantly block, keep you stuck, hinder your career and the progress that you can make and your personal satisfaction. If you are walking around scared of rejection, hoping or expecting rejection before you even know it's real or it comes to you, you are going to block your career and how far you can advance because you're already hoping for the worst. I'm your host, TaSheena Braxton, and I am on a mission to disrupt the industry standard that fancy titles make leaders and teaching my clients how to become leaders and get their own seats at the table. Every week, I will explore a topic that impacts women of color. I will unpack the topic and provide learning so that you can feel equipped to step into leadership. I went from laid off to an entry-level job to a mid-level multiple six figures role where I wasn't the highest on the org chart, but I was able to sit in rooms with CEOs, CFOs, and CMOs without a fancy title. As a mom of 4, a wife, and the eldest daughter of 6, I know what it means to lead in every aspect of your life and to be able to translate that into the workplace. Welcome to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. So glad to have you here. Now let's get into it. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. Today I am waking up a little bit refreshed. I have been having serious allergy attacks. I don't know what has happened as I've gotten older. I've all of a sudden developed allergies. And yesterday my nose was itching so bad. It just kept making me sneeze. And I took a bunch of Zyrtec and probably took more than I should have. But I'm better now and I'm feeling good. Today I have a team coaching session that I'm doing a little bit later this afternoon, and I'm pumped and I'm ready. But before I get there, I wanted to come in and talk and chat with you all. Something that has been on my mind is I've been thinking a lot about rejection. And I'm curious if you've ever had that feeling like you should call someone, talk to someone, apologize, check in, but you don't do it because you're afraid of the possibility of them rejecting you. I have this all the time where I'm like, if I reach out, they're probably going to reject me in some type of way, so I shouldn't call. Or if I ask for something, that person is going to reject me. And so I just don't ask at all. I just don't reach out at all because of my fear of rejection. And what I'm starting to learn is that we block ourselves from potential opportunities or blessings when we don't take action to reach out to ask for the help that we need because we're afraid of the rejection. And so I wanted to talk about this topic today because there is a way to not allow rejection to get in your way and to just move forward and continue to reach for those opportunities, even though rejection is scary. So what I see in a lot of people that I work with, but also what I have seen in myself, is that when you are afraid of rejection, where there's this deep-seated fear, what typically happens is when you get in social situations or even professional situations, there's all of a sudden this paralysis. Like you get stuck, like completely stuck. You will hesitate to reach out to old friends or make new friends or new connections. You will be reluctant to ask for the job promotions. And this was me back in the day where I was afraid to ask for the promotion until it was like almost like this feeling of life and death where it was like, you better ask for this promotion or you're going to be stuck in the same spot. Don't let someone just think you are content and complacent where you are. You have to ask. But then you'll also see people pass up opportunities to collaborate on projects. They're like, nah, I'm not going to do that with that person because there may be some failure. The rejection is just another form of failure or a thought about failure. And you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it leads to complete avoidance. You just will not go to networking events. You will not convene with people. You will not have the conversations you need to have, and you will not ask for the things that you need to ask for. And this is just a cycle that is going to spin you out into low self-esteem, into thinking that you have imposter syndrome, into thinking that you're not enough, into some form of maybe even depression, because now you're thinking things are not happening for you and you're not good enough. Or why don't they want to hear from me, right? We believe that people are supposed to read our minds and know that we want to have a conversation, we want to reach out, or that we need help. And then when they don't, you're like, do they not want to talk to me? Do they not want to be my friend? Do they not want to share this effort with me? Like, what is it? And so we literally, our thoughts are creating these results of not having what we need or not making the connections that we want to connect because we have this deep-seated fear of rejection. And we get to overthinking, we get to overanalyzing every interaction we have instead of just saying, you know what, I'm going to step out on faith and I'm going to try. And if there's something I'm confused or concerned about or I'm not sure about, I'm just going to ask. We have to get to that place where we stop trying to guess and we just ask. I want you to know that rejection doesn't define who you are. It doesn't define your worth. And the reality is that you are going to face rejection at some point in your life. Whether it is not making a sports team. I see this happen a lot with the kids that are around my children, where they're not making the sports team, or even like right now, my son is ninth grade. He's playing football for the first time. He has never played football. And the reason why we had him, my husband and I had him join the football team is because we really wanted him to maximize on the opportunity to work out, to get some strength training, to get some endurance training for basketball. But he has fallen in love with football, but he's not a starter. And he just recently told me something that I'm learning because I'm learning football is that he's not on the special teams either. And so there's a little bit of like, why can I get in the game more? Right? Because he's used to that with basketball because that's his gift. That's where his gift is at, is in basketball. He's been doing it all his life since he was a younger boy. And it's so great to have his dad tell him, you're just now starting to play football for the first time in your life, and you're doing a pretty freaking amazing job. This is not rejection. This is just, there's more for you to learn and to discover, and your time will come. But rejection can come in the form of not making a sports team, or not even being able to play as much as you want to, sitting on the bench or standing on the sidelines. That can happen. But rejection could also be like, you see a potential boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody you can date, and you want to date them, but they're not feeling you like you feel them. That could be rejection. Or maybe in the career space, you are being turned down by multiple jobs. Maybe you are not being asked to be on a team, a high visibility project. Rejection is the name of the game, and it happens to us, but it doesn't have to be a career staller or stop us from moving forward. We can move forward from rejection, because rejection, and this is what I believe, is that rejection can be a sign that something better is coming. Think about it. How many times have you craved, desired, wanted something so freaking bad, and you didn't get it? And when you look back, you're like, whew, I'm glad I didn't get that opportunity. Or, whew, I'm glad that I didn't start dating that person. Or, whew, I am just so thankful that that did not work out. This is what happens. Like, I think of when I was laid off from my retail job, and I hope to get back in that retail job because I was comfortable with that company, and I was comfortable with the people that worked there. And I was praying that that would be an opportunity for me. But had I got it, I wouldn't have got my next job, which was life and career changing for me in such a good way. And so I viewed the rejection of applying for multiple jobs after I got laid off as, this is amazing, and this is something new that I would have blocked my opportunity had I stayed in that same company. And sometimes that's how God works. God will tell you, no, there is something much better that I have for you, that I cannot just give this to you right now. And then I want you to know that when rejection happens, this is your opportunity to learn and improve. We have to look at our life as a big experiment. Until we are masters of our craft, of our gift, of the things that we want to do in our careers, it's all a freaking experiment. Like, we just have to see it that way. And reminding ourselves that you will miss 100% of the shots that you do not make. Because there is a lot of times where I see people, which is the exact same thing I used to do, where I just wouldn't try. I was like, oh, I'm going to fail, so I might as well not try. I'm going to fail. I already know that's what's going to happen. Like, I might as well just call it quits, right? But the answer will always be no until you ask. You will always not get the opportunity that you want to get until you take a shot. I tell my son, again, going back to sports, that if he's in a game and he feels like he is not getting the ball, or he is not being able to take a shot, it's because you didn't hustle to go get that ball. Or if you don't try to take the shot, you'll always miss the shot. And it sounds like, it sounds a little bit funky, because it's like, well, if I don't have the ball, how am I going to take the shot? You got the ball, then you passed the ball. You didn't take the shot. So you are going to miss 100% of the shots that you do not make. And you cannot blame anyone else but yourself if you do not try. Rejection can be such a gift because it makes you a better leader, because it gives you experience. It provides real learning, and you benefit from being able to pivot or to try again. Rejection is a fertile ground for continuing to see what works, to trying new things, to shaping you in a different way. When you just get handed something, it doesn't provide you the opportunity to really learn, to really nurture a thing. Just think about it. If I had $1,000,000 today and I just handed it over to my oldest son, he will be 20 on Saturday, guys. 20. I might have a 20-year-old, but I digress. If I gave him $1,000,000 and said, here you go, son, have at it. This is yours. That could be harmful, and that money might move very quickly because I haven't taught him how to actually make money, save money, invest money in a way that will actually allow that $1,000,000 to grow even more. So what will he think? Oh, I'm just going to go ahead and spend it. I'm just going to go do whatever the hell I want to do with it because that is a lot of money. I could do whatever I want to do with it. And so when he has opportunity to learn himself how to make the $1,000,000, he will get so many lessons that will be life lessons that will help him in his life forever, right? And so if he asked me today, Mom, can I have $1,000,000? And I told him, no, it's not a rejection more than it is a blessing, where he has now been blessed to figure it out, to learn, to experiment, and to really become a master at making and managing money. I hope you understand that. Inside of my one-on-one coaching program, I do go into how to approach rejection in this approach that I call roots and wings. The roots are things like, who are you? Where did you come from? What makes you so powerful? Who are your role models, or who are the ancestors who came before you, and what lessons have they left for you to follow? The roots are your firm foundation. It is where you start from. It is where you are building your capacity, your muscle, your experience, your grit. Like, those are your roots. And it's important to uncover your roots because a lot of times we think we don't come from greatness. We think that we're just starting out at a deficit. And I'll go into like the Black culture and how much the Black culture. I remember I was talking to my children and the other day, and we were talking about how when I was coming up in elementary school, they didn't even tell us that Egypt was in Africa. Y'all hear that? Egypt was this totally different thing. They didn't even tell us it was in Africa. And the reason why we got on this topic is because we were talking about my youngest son, and he was saying he loves math and he's so good at math and it's not a problem for him. But reading is his stretch area. Reading is where he needs a lot more help, and I have him in tutoring twice a week after school to help him with that. But my oldest son says, well, just remember that the first mathematicians were Black. And I was excited, so excited with joy, because these are the things that were not taught to us as young kids, that the first mathematicians were Black. And when we don't know our roots and where we come from, we think we're starting at a deficit. We think it's going to be harder for us. But just imagine the self-esteem or the dopamine hit that gave to know, wow, I'm Black and the first mathematicians are Black. Oh, I could do this. And that's why another reason why representation matters in organizations, because if I see another leader with the ability to be able to grow into a CEO role or some type of chief officer role, or even in the C-suite or senior level management, oh, I believe I can do it too. What's the path? What's the best practice? What is the game plan? Like, how do we get there? And so in order to start working through rejection, we start looking at our roots, because our roots give us signals and signs of who we can be and what we can become, even in the face of adversity, in the face of rejection. The second thing we do is we look at the wings. Now, the wings is our intersectional experience. It is, what are the experiences that have shaped you in your life? What have those experiences given to you to solve real world problems? So I talked about it in another episode before this about how to move from an entry level to the next level of your career. Is looking at your experiences and saying to yourself, like, what can I glean from this experience in order to move to my next level? But also in the Executive Presence podcast episode, I talk about how thought leadership comes from real world experiences that you have. And I use my experience as a mom. A mom has shaped me to slow down, to really listen, to think about things in a more holistic way. I'm not just looking at it the same way that I've always looked at it. And so that's something that you want to look at, like what experiences have shaped you and can give you, that you can put in your toolbox, that can give you the ability to solve problems. That, yeah, I may have gotten rejected, but how am I going to solve this? Have I thought about everything and in a way that I can solve this? I probably have not. And let me just go look and let me explore and examine and analyze my experiences to see how I overcame, how I got through hard stuff, how I became successful in the first place. How did I get to the point where I am right now in this place where I'm thinking about how to move forward in my career? This is helpful because it reminds you who the hell you are. But not only who you are, but whose you are and where you are going. And it is so important that the roots and the wings are front and center at all times, but even more so when you're talking about rejection, because it could definitely gets to you. And so we don't want that to happen. We don't want the ego to start going crazy, because the ego doesn't always help you, and it's not always helpful in situations where you need to be solution oriented. And so when you remember your roots and your wings, it is going to help you immensely. Lots of times we don't look back or across to our experiences because we have experienced some trauma, we've experienced some painful things. And as women of color, we haven't been taught what the gift is in the experience. I talk about my domestic violence situation, and as painful and as traumatic as that was, the gift in that experience taught me how to be in relationship with myself. And it taught me my capacity and how much capacity I have to be a leader and to lead my life. So when you look at your rejection experience, by building out the story of your roots and your wings, it will not feel as painful and traumatic to get rejected. I remember working with a client who is a woman of color, an immigrant in the tech industry. And she came to me because her career was stuck. She felt like being a woman of color and an immigrant could be a problem. So she was doing everything she could to bury the part of herself that was an immigrant and a woman of color. Like, she didn't want that to stand out, even though you could look at her and you knew. And it was to the point that she wouldn't allow coworkers to know her background. She wouldn't go to network events. She would dodge questions about herself because she believed that the less people knew about her, the less likely she was going to face any judgment or any rejection. So what happened? She held strong avoidance behaviors. She didn't apply for jobs because although she was stuck, she was safe. It was a situation where she was like, I will stay with the devil I know rather than trying to learn about the devil that I don't know. And she told me that even in meetings, she didn't always share her thoughts or opinions because that was better for her, so that the spotlight would not be on her. And you can see how that could be a problem because people are more likely to do business and connect with people that they know rather than people that they don't know. And she didn't recognize how small and safe she was playing because she didn't want her background to be the reason why she was rejected. And that was definitely not positioning her as a leader. And the way people view you is absolutely something that you cannot control. And so this turned into many missed opportunities because she wasn't visible. People didn't know who she was. And when she came to me, there were clear signs of feeling isolated or not feeling worthy enough to be who she is in the workplace. When we worked together, she started to see how her own fears were the cause of her career being stalled. There's so much stigma around being an immigrant when in that she was afraid to put herself out there. And so, of course, her career stalled. And now I do want to pause here and know that there are very real things like racism that block women of color, Black women's advancement. There are very real things. And so I don't want to say that her ability to navigate rejection is going to stop blocking her from getting opportunities, because there are very real things like racism, which is rampant in our society today, that can block you. And so I do want you to know that. And I also want you to realize that even when you're rejected, it's great because you get to see people for who they are. You understand why they rejected you, and it allows you to play chess, not checkers, and realize, should I actually take this opportunity if they feel like this? Or should I go apply and be a part of this organization if this is how they manage their employees? Like, it still gives you beneficial information, even if the reason why you were rejected is because of things like racism. So when you are afraid to take the next step and afraid to move past rejection, you will suffer some career stalling, some stagnating of your career. You will be passed over for promotions because you won't be visible. There will be a missed opportunity to be a part of different projects. I talked about how I literally put myself out there when I was in an entry-level position because I wanted to participate and grow my career, but I had to participate in different projects and different things that will make me visible. And it also can limit your professional network. I have so many people in my network and so many people who know me. And it's one of the things that I know is my superpower is being able to create these networks and to leverage them when I need them. But you also will feel some level of frustration when you don't take your shot and you don't move past rejection, and you're going to start hating your job. You're going to think, oh, it's my job. It's not me. It's my freaking job. My job, like these people. But then you look at yourself and you put the mirror towards yourself and you're like, well, damn, I'm not even talking to these people. I'm not even trying to build relationships with these people. I just go in and do my work. I don't go to lunch with anybody and I just go home. And trust me, I'm saying this from personal experience because that is what I did. Literally, come to work, sit in my cubicle, eat lunch, go get my lunch, come back, eat lunch in my cubicle, and then go home. Did not engage with people at first, right? And so I just want us to be careful with that. When we start hating our jobs, is it really because the job is a problem, or is it because you're not doing anything to make the job better for yourself? So this approach, where we look at the roots and the wings, was able to unpack my client's family's immigration story. And I was able to celebrate with her how it was courageous to take a look at her family and how she was brought up and how significant it is to be uprooted from a culture that you know and put into an entirely new culture. And we looked at the meaning of her name and cultures that are not necessarily like different generations have started to be born and raised in America, but in different cultures, names do have a deep meaning. And I wanted her to connect to that because it was a name that was significant about her journey. And so we also looked at, like, what's the significance of your name? Even if it's not your first name, it could be your last name. What is the significance? And then we also started to uncover what were the pivotal moments in her life and what was she carrying that wasn't necessarily hers to carry, but it impacted the way she showed up. And what I mean by this is, like, sometimes when you're a young child, you don't immigrate just to immigrate. There may be some baggage or some things that your parents are carrying that cause them to be fearful and to not want to present themselves as an immigrant, or things that have shaped them that they literally put on your back that you're carrying. And a lot of the reason why she kept her immigration story so covered was because her mother felt like if she said anything, it could be severe consequences, or it would stop her from getting the job opportunities that she wanted to get, things like that. And so we really looked at that, and we looked at how it was impacting her life, so she could shed that baggage, she could shed those stories that she has been raised with, and really say, okay, let's start with a clean slate here, and what are the thoughts that I want to think versus the ones that my mom has made me think. This also led us to look at her experiences and how it helped her in her current skills and the things that she was already using in the workplace, the commitment, the perseverance, the courageousness. All of these are skills that you're using in the workplace every freaking day. It could be a lot to work in male-dominated environments or even in white male-dominated environments, especially in tech. Like, that's a lot of what it is. And so it can be hard, but you know what? She has lessons from her experiences from coming to America that have taught her how strong and courageous she is. So she wants to grab that feeling and use that feeling to keep her to keep moving forward. Also being able to navigate many different cultures. Like, it is a blessing, and it's a significant strength to be able to manage through diversity, which is managing multiple cultures. And how have you done that? You could teach others how to do that, because even people who are Americans have to learn how to deal with these multicultural organizations, and what are the things that are taboo, what are the things that are okay to do, like what are those things. And so someone who was not born here has a lot to offer in that space, especially when we talk about building more organizations that are more diverse. Tap on your immigrants, because they're going to help you to see something different. These are the transferable skills that can move into her career that she's in right now. And that is why I call it wings, because they expand beyond her into other areas, which is why for me, this looks like leading beyond a title, because this is true experience. It is moving past where she is. It's not leadership in the standard way that we think of leadership. It is so much bigger. So in closing, I want you to take these things away with you. Fear of rejection can significantly block, keep you stuck, hinder your career and the progress that you can make and your personal satisfaction. If you are walking around scared of rejection, hoping or expecting rejection, before you even know it's real or it comes to you, you are going to block your career and how far you can advance, because you're already hoping for the worst. I also want you to understand that your roots can provide a foundation of confidence to face potential rejection. If I know that the first mathematicians are Black, fireworks. I feel so confident. There's some representation. I'm walking into a math class or a math test, like, feeling myself. feeling myself. Yes, that's what I'm doing because, hey, like I know I could do this. If my people, if my ancestors, if my culture, people from my culture could do this, I could do this. So even when I'm rejected, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it was something else, but I know I can still do this. I'm going to still, maybe I got to tweak and I got to experiment a little bit better, but I can still do this. The other takeaway I want you to take is recognizing your unique experiences as a strength. I talked about this before because I think we take for granted how much our home and things that happen in our households could be strengths. And I want you to transform what you think are weaknesses, like being an immigrant, into an asset. It is an asset. As I mentioned, being an immigrant can help you significantly shape the culture of your organization that you're going into, and it can help leaders. Leadership is all about helping other people be successful. You can make other people be successful by just saying, this is how you navigate, this particular culture or this particular race, because you understand the nuances of maybe or not looking at you directly in your eye. Like I learned some time ago that in some Asian cultures, looking at someone's eyes as they're talking is a sign of disrespect. Well, in America, that's a sign of respect. So that is something that someone from that community, from that culture, had to educate Americans on, so it doesn't look like a weakness, but it's an asset. You understand what that means. Also, taking calculated risk and embracing vulnerability can lead to unexpected opportunities. So, although you are getting rejected and you dive right in and you try to make things and do something else, I also want you to know that it does have to be calculated. Don't just go in and try to do the same thing over and over again. That's insanity. I want you to be calculated and take the right risks that you're supposed to take and embrace being vulnerable. You may have to ask for help this time. Maybe last time you didn't ask for help. This time you're going to ask for help because you don't know the opportunity that it can open up. And lastly, overcoming rejection or the fear of rejection will open up opportunities for you to create authentic connections and allow you to advance in your career. I can't tell you how much I have been able to create different relationships because I overcame the fear of being rejected from being able to ask a question to understand what's going on with a different topic. I remember asking a client of mine words in the LGBTQ plus community. I remember having to ask her what queer meant because I thought that wasn't a word you can use. And then I was asking her some other things that pertain to that community. And the level of light bulbs that it took off for me was incredible, but it also helped me to empathize more, and it allowed me to just feel really connected to her and to connect to her story and her experience. And I'm just like, oh my God. And she probably doesn't even know it now because, of course, I'm not going back. She used to be a client, but when people are saying things that are misinformation about the LGBTQ plus community, now I'm equipped to be able to explain and reshape the narratives that, that make it more positive and that it doesn't marginalize this community even more than it needs to be. And so had I been afraid to be rejected from asking the question and been afraid, I would have never asked the question in the first place. I wouldn't be equipped with this knowledge and I wouldn't be able to ultimately be a champion. And so I just want you to know that rejection doesn't have to be something that gets in your way. because it is going to be a way of life, and it's how we move beyond titles and step into leadership the way that we want. And so if you have somebody that you need to call, if you have somebody that you need to apologize to, if you have someone that you need to check in with, or maybe you need to ask for help, I want you to do that today. Don't fear being rejected. Go out and do what you need to do in order for you to make progress faster. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I will see you and hear from you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like, follow, and leave a comment. Share with your friends, family members, and other women of color leaders. Inside my one-on-one leadership coaching program, I will help you become the leader that you want to be with work-life integration and peace. By tapping into networks, growing your visibility and confidence, you will go from untapped, unseen, and underrepresented to attracting opportunities to take your career and your life to the next level. I use an equity-centered lens in my approach so that you feel seen, safe, empowered, excited, and committed to attract, create, and land opportunities in an unconventional way. To work with me, join my email newsletter, or to learn more about me, click the links in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to being your coach. See you next week.